Hello and welcome to another Modern Commerce Talks from Avensia. I'm your host, Jack Stratton from Insider Trends. Delighted to be joined today by Tobias Ekholm, who works for Avensia and is a project manager for Lyko. Hi, Tobias.
Hello.
And also Andre Ihlar, who is the head of online sales at Lyko. Hi, Andre.
Hi.
Thanks so much, both of you, for making the time, and thanks for everyone else for tuning in to watch. And today we're going to be talking about kind of the culture of partnerships in this context. So Avensia has been an e-commerce partner for Lyko for a number of years, and Tobias and Andre know each other really well and have been a key part of that partnership. So what I want to do, and we'll start with you, Andre, is just get a sense of how the culture of that partnership has been so important to the success of the partnership from a business and commercial point of view. So if you wouldn't mind taking through a little bit about, I don't know, what that culture is and how it's worked well in terms of actually moving your various projects forward.
Right. Yeah. So I think that we have a culture where we try to keep a culture where no one has to be afraid of making errors. That's like the main point. I think we have that in our culture in the company, and we've also tried to have that with Avensia because we see them as a partner in this. We want to develop a website where that excels and is great in a lot of areas. And if we are going to do that, we realize that, I mean, we know some stuff, but there are a lot of things in these areas where we don't have the knowledge, or we don't know what's on the market. So we have relied pretty heavily on Avensia for this, and on the developers. I think we have given them great flexibility and trusted them with finding out the best solutions. And when we make an order for a feature or something, they feel that they can challenge us with, wait, is this really the best way of doing it? Or have you thought of this solution here? And so we have this, I think we have this feeling where we can talk very openly to each other, which I think has been a great part of the success.
That's great. And in terms of that, that kind of, removing that fear of failure, which is so important across, I think, any business relationship of any kind. Maybe it's sometimes overlooked, actually, when it comes to online and e-com, but it's just as important, of course, as anywhere else. Tobias, from your point of view, what kinds of things have you done at Avensia and also with Lyko to foster that culture where people aren't afraid of making mistakes and do have that kind of boldness to try stuff and talk openly? What's kind of at the heart of making that possible?
Well, I think it's many aspects to that. I think that Lyko knows that they don't know the solution for every problem, that they are humble about that, and what they know, what they want to achieve, they know their challenges, their opportunities, but they trust the team to actually come up with the best solution for that challenge or opportunity, and also doing it in an iterative way, not just okay now we decide on this way, we just run ahead, but do it iteratively and take small steps, and try out things, especially when we're about to embark on something big. And then we really want to try out, make a small effort, see, okay, does this take us in the right direction? Perhaps not, and then we try another way. And also I would say our close collaboration, where we interact more or less daily through Slack or video calls or anything like that. And I think that has been worked extremely well, because since Lyko sits up in Dalarna, we sit down in Skåne in Lund, we don't see each other physically so often, but having this close collaboration from using online tools has really kicked off and worked extremely well, I would say.
That's fantastic. And I'm interested in that point about the fact that, there's kind of daily conversations through Slack and different virtual calls, and that's at the heart of everything. And I'm sure there's loads of e-com businesses, in this situation where they're forming good partnerships and good collaboration entirely virtually, and I think a lot of people imagine that e-com professionals in completely different locations, but regularly talking to each other. Has that is there any other elements to it? How much, from your point of view, Andre, how important is it also to, even if it's just occasionally, but to have that physical kind of meet up and to get to know people? Because I always think with openness, somewhere in there, you need that opportunity to kind of, really get to know someone, to kind of, get our kind of guards down and get to know the real person. Because then it feels like openness is inevitable. So how important has that been? Has that ever happened much?
Yeah, we try to do it. I mean, we have the pandemic at the moment, but for that we try to at least twice a year, preferably more often, meet physically. And with those meetings, we set up like the big scopes and discuss matters that we think we need some time and we want to discuss them in a big group. Maybe that is when I think conference calls work not as good, is when you have a lot of people in one room and you have some people in another room to get that discussion going around the table. That's probably one of the challenges with meeting just digitally. But I do believe in the the value of meeting in person. I think that one of the reasons that we got off so good with Avensia was when we did a kickoff back in 2016 probably, where we brought up the developers up to us here in Dalarna, and we went out in the woods where they have recreated a village, one of these temporary villages that the cabin or woodworkers used to build up when they were working out in the woods for maybe months. So they have all these log cabins, there is no electricity there. So there's a sauna, so we went in the sauna and we had a hole in the ice where you could cool off. And afterwards we ate food that were made on this huge, murika, we say. It's I don't know, I don't know the word for it really.
But kind of like sort of camping style, like open fire, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's open fire. It's a big plate of metal where you just pour everything in. So there's this smell of food everywhere and smoke all around, and there's no lights except the fire. And I remember that the team members talked about this for years after, actually, that how this was so different from how other companies they had worked with before had handled their kickoffs, where you usually go out and have a dinner, or maybe you go bowling or something like that. But this took off the guard, I think, and that was the whole point of it, just to remove all these barriers. I mean, when you are almost naked, you don't have any masks on anymore, and everybody freezes together, and we're hungry together, and it makes it takes down the guard or the fence between people. After that, I found that we had a really, really close bond to the developers, which made me also more. I felt that I could trust the developers with really finding the best option and the best way of doing stuff for us. I knew that we have the same objective here. They don't just want to build the perfect code here out of prestige. They understand that we need to get something to the market as well, and we have to find a balance between something that is perfect and something that's actually in production. And this has been crucial, I think. I don't know. I know that Tobias wasn't a part of the team at then, but I think that you have also heard about this thing.
Yeah, this legendary night in the woods.
yeah. Of course, I've heard about it. But actually, when I joined the team in 2017, we went up to Vansbro in Dalarna in June of that year, and of course we had a lot of sessions discussing highs and lows and everything. But then in the evening, Rick and Lyko took us for a hike out in the woods, and then we had dinner at his parents' home. How often do you meet the customer at the parents of the CEO and enjoy dinner there outside? And Andrea was playing guitar and singing interesting songs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was just an extremely nice experience when first meeting the Lyko team and all of them. You just relax and become yourself.
I'm a big believer in all of this. I think it's partly why I brought it up. And I think that when it comes to the big moments where you have challenges and you really need to be open and people need to be confident, this stuff really matters, having that. when you've had that opportunity to remove barriers, completely be yourself, show your personalities and stuff. I guess just as a final point before we wrap up, how important has this kind of culture you built up been when there's been problems and when there's been challenges? Because of course we're talking about, it's been great for coming up with ideas, working together, compromising, removing fear of failure. But of course, along the road, like any partnership, there will have been difficult moments and problems and challenges. Has it been the same that culture, again, of openness has been really important, that you've been able to kind of, get through those difficult moments more easily?
I mean, and to be honest, when we have faced these issues where we don't see stuff the same way, or where there are like financial discussions like that, we have decided to never bring it up with the team, with the developer team. We've always taken those discussions higher up in the organization, just to keep this, to make sure that the team always feels that there are no hard feelings, no confusions or worries about disagreements or whatever. So that has been very important to us, and I think one of the reasons that we mentioned either about this, the fear of errors. Another one is the "not my problem" whole thing, and that is something that I don't think we have that at all in the team. We strive really hard to avoid it in our company, and I think we have managed to avoid it completely in the Lyko company. I never heard that phrase. I never felt that someone has ignored an issue because it wasn't on their table or it didn't directly involve their project.
Yeah,
no,
and that,
I totally agree with Andrea, and I also want to emphasize a couple of more things. It's having collaboration between the developers and Andrea, for example, not having to include me in all the discussions, because I think it's better if they can speak to each other directly and sort out if there's a specific feature they have some questions about. I don't need to be involved in all of those discussions. It's better to talk to the one that has formulated the user story or whatever, and they can sort it out by themselves.
Yeah, we try to be really pragmatic about those things.
Yeah, and you have to be.
Yeah, and one other thing regarding the of course we've experienced difficulties, and I think what Lyko has done has been lifted it up really early and being transparent and really clear about what they think have went wrong in some way, and we can be transparent back from Avensia and try to sort it out in the best way possible. And I think it's good, because sometimes customers built up aggression and then it spills over, but when something like this happens, Andre and the others, they come with it directly, so we can sort it out immediately before it's come infected in a hazardous way.
Fantastic. Well, it's all we've got time for, but so interesting to hear what's underneath this great culture. And look, I hope that, I don't know quite how, because I'm in no way relevant to this, but that I can get an invite to the next night in the woods. If you can, because that sounds like a good time.
Sure.
Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk to us. I'm sure we'll talk again about more of this. And thanks everyone for tuning into this Modern Commerce Talk, and we'll be back with many more soon. Thanks, Tobias. Thanks, Andre. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.